So a lot of people are curious about the best or most effective ship at VHRT bounty hunting in the game. I'm not going to beat around the bush here. The answer is the Vanguard Sentinel. It's got a ton of shield, a ton of all HP, and you can shoot its little dinky wings off and it doesn't even care. It's got a ton of nose-mounted DPS that can't get blown off, and you can have up to 32 size 1 missiles. In short, it nukes things. Let's get into it. For all the other ships fighting VHRT videos that I've done, I usually start with something easy and then ramp up, but here we can just get started right away with the Hurricane. For our fit, we're using all cannons. I'll talk a little bit more about how you can get those MVSA size 2 cannons later, but it's going to be so satisfyingly easy. You head straight at your target, slightly off kilter to try and avoid what damage you can. You just focus your nose onto their pip, rotate around, you're flying decoupled, aim, fire, and they will pop. It is so good. And to prove that it wasn't a fluke, here's another one. This time I fly a little bit better. As you're flying towards it, you're going to slow down a little bit once you get into weapons range so that you increase the amount of time that you have to have your guns on the target. So here you can see I'm going to start slowing down, aiming, shooting, and boom, one pass. I'm not joking. You can really dunk on some Hurricanes with this ship. It is fantastic and cathartic. And to show that it's not just Hurricanes that you can dunk on, here's a Valkyrie. It's a pretty beefy, tanky ship. You close in, you just tank the fire. You've got so much shield, it doesn't matter. You just focus on getting your nose on target, and before long, boom, it pops. So before showing more combat, let's talk about the fit that we're using. The main thing to talk about is the weapon loadout. We changed the size 4 gimbal to a fixed size 5, put a laser cannon on there for the maximum DPS. I just put on the Omnisky because it's cheapest and all of them are the same. For the size 2s on the nose, you want to grab the ones that come by default on the Vanguard Warden. In 3.14, you weren't able to buy them separately in a shop. You had to either buy a Warden and take it off of them, or rent a Warden and steal it off of the rental one. But in 3.15, it's reported that you're going to be able to buy those MVSA cannons separately in Orison, so that's absolutely fantastic. As far as missiles are concerned, I like to go more of the smallest missiles. In 3.15, you're definitely going to want to use EM missiles because power plants are no longer going to really decrease your EM by going stealth, so all ships have big EM signatures, and I like size 1 to get 32 of them. Shields, power plants, coolers, you can leave the defaults on there, although in 3.15 shields are going to get a little bit more HP as you go up in grade, so if you can afford it, I would just go to the Umbras to get a little bit more HP since they're the grade A shields. For the quantum drive, you should also grab an XL1 so you can just zip around the verse quickly. Now let's show some combat that didn't go as smoothly, where we hit some desync and we weren't able to kill the first target as quickly. So obviously, if it's combat that didn't go smoothly, it's going to be against a Hurricane. So we are coming into this the same way we always do, slightly off kilter. You can see my directional indicator slightly to the right. Come in, start slowing down, try to take as much time as possible with the target within your sights. Didn't get it in one pass, but that's okay. Rotate around and try and get it. He starts to juke a little bit, and so he ends up... I mispredict where he is, and I miss a bunch of shots, which is unfortunate. Here, he's getting out into the little bit further ranges. Cannons are great for their high alpha, but they have a lower projectile speed, so once they get out of the 1k-ish range, it gets difficult to actually land your shots if they're moving around. And I've not been as patient as I should be with my fire, so some of the fire gets wasted. And here you just saw he desynced to the left, so there were probably a bunch of shots that I shot off that never went to where his target actually was on the server. So we do a little bit of flying around. I try to spend some time getting into a better position, but during this time I've been taking some shots, so my shields are getting a little bit low. I still think I can take a little bit more time to try and engage him, until the shield gets a little bit lower again, and then I start to change my power settings over to try and get some shield back. So here, just sort of biding my time, I see that I'm in a decent location, got some lined up shots, so I put the power back to weapons to try to finish him off since I see that his hull's in the red, but he's a hurricane, so he's been regenerating shield during this time, and all I do is take a shield back down. Now his allies have just spawned in, and I don't know this yet, but one of those allies is another hurricane, which means big incoming damage. So I'm still over here trying to focus on taking this guy down who's low, but then I'm not getting him, so then I decide to disengage, fly off, send off some decoys to avoid those missiles, put the power into shields to regen that shield. Now I flip back around, now that my shields are pretty much back, power goes back to weapons, and then it's time to re-engage with that hurricane. The good thing here is now his hull's in the red, and we're gonna get another one of those one pass opportunities as we fly directly at our target while we have full shields, he has full shields, but he's taken a whole bunch of damage. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit because we're at pretty far range and I don't want to overspeed this, so I just keep my speed limiter. And so once we get into the range of my size 5 guns, which is 2800 meters, I start firing again. And like I said, that one pass situation, we get him because he has no hull left to fight with. This is where we first target the other enemies and see what we're dealing with. It's one Hurricane and one Valkyrie. I'm going to go after the Valkyrie first because it's a much easier target. It's a lot bigger, it's less nimble. It also puts out a decent amount of damage, but that's okay. We can see that we've taken a bunch of damage from flying past the Hurricane and the Valkyrie. Well, we flew past 2 Hurricanes and a Valkyrie, so our shields are getting low again, but that's okay. We can fight this. I had mistakenly kept my cap on shields, which is unfortunate because I missed an opportunity to take out that Valkyrie, but that's okay. We're not taking much damage right now, so we recharge our guns, keep the cap on the guns for a little bit while we search for an opportunity to kill this guy. But then we put it back to shields because it's been a few seconds without taking damage, so we know that we're going to be able to recharge a little bit of shields during that little pocket of time. And those are the kinds of opportunities you're going to have to look for during these sorts of bit more dogfighty combats. If you're not taking damage for a bit, that's an opportunity to put the power into shields and get some back until you take another shot. And so I'm doing a lot of power management while I'm flying around and trying to get an angle on this guy. You can see there again, he's sort of desyncing back and forth a little bit with some weird jukes. That's going to make it a little bit harder, but he's a big fat target, and so we do take him out. Now we just have to hunt down this last Hurricane. And this time we're going to be a little bit less sloppy about it, because we've been going for a while here. So spend some time to try and get a good angle, good range, and then actually land some good shots on him as we're passing him. And then don't waste the extra ammo. We've recharged our shield back up as well during that time, and so now we're just going to keep our cap on weapons, and we're going to be able to focus our full attention on DPS rather than managing our cap and trying to avoid incoming fire. So we're just focusing on piloting here. That's the largest part of being able to actually hit Hurricanes, is to make sure that you're piloting well. And we're able to keep them in our sights because of that, and we are able to take them out. One last thing to note is that we never use the EMP that the Vanguard Sentinel comes with because you don't really need it. I've found that rather than trying to get in close enough to use my EMP, my energy and focus is better spent trying to position myself to land clean shots with my cannons. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. If you've watched this far, thanks. I hope you've liked it. Cheers.